Earlier this week, I believe it was this week. Well, what did it say? Wednesday. It was either this week or late last week. I was on Alec Lace show, and it was an amazing discussion. And Alec is the host. Is the host of the podcast First Class Father, and since we were celebrating First Class Fatherhood. Sorry about that. First Class Fatherhood, and since we were celebrating White History Month, and this is Manhood Hour, I asked Alec to come on, and he's here. Alec, welcome to the show.
Jesse, it's an honor to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you being here. I wanted to, that, and by the way, happy White History Month.
Thank you for that.
Are you white?
Apparently, yes. I am. Not by choice, but this is how it came out.
What is it like for you being white? And now in America, it is illegal to be white and to not be a quote-unquote racist. What does that feel like for you? What is that like personally for you?
Well, it's been a great experience. Everything is pretty much handed to me. I don't have to work for anything. I get, I can have somebody else go to the bathroom for me if I want. Everything is pretty much taken care of, for me and my family, where we can just coast right through the end here to the pearly gates.
Do you feel afraid for your family or your life at this point?
Absolutely not, Jesse. I fear no one but God, to be honest with you. I think that what we're seeing right now is really an election year, and we're seeing all this stuff getting drilled up, and it's really to control people's emotions. We've seen this with the coronavirus, to control you by fear or by worry about your health. And we've seen it with the race riots, to control you with your anger. And these are just tactics that have been going on, I think, for a very long time. And it's a manipulation game that if you allow it into your mind and take over your mind, it's going to play out in your life. So I think it was Jim Rohn who once said, we have to be aware of the thief on the street that's after our purse, but you got to be aware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people. They're allowing it into their mind, and it's controlling their entire life.
What do you think? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What do you think of when you see white men and women bowing down to black radical fat lesbians? The so-called founder of the Black Lives Matter, they're washing their feet and they're doing all these crazy things. What do you think of that when you see it happening?
I think it's been that they've allowed it to take over their thoughts. I think they're not thinking for themselves. I think they're just following the crowd. I think that's like the 97%. Of people don't think for themselves, and they're just going to do what they think they should be doing based on what other people are doing. They just follow the crowd.
And what will the end be for those people?
Whatever the next trend comes, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go where they're told, I think. If tomorrow they told everybody you got to wear, pink underwear, everybody would be walking around with pink underwear. Once they turn the machine on, they'll get you to go in any direction that you want. So whatever the next program is will be the next thing that they follow.
Joel, is Alec, if I play a soundbite, will Alec be able to see it?
Not see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
You hear it, though.
Alec, I want to play a soundbite for you and get your response to it. It just occurred to me right now. You can't see it, but you'll be able to hear it. There's this woman by the name of Robin DiAngelo, and she was on CNN, I guess, and she spoke on white people and what they can do about racism. I want to play this for you and get a response. Here we go.
In this particular moment of racial unrest and heightened visibility of racial injustice, the question of what can I do is on so many white people's minds. The first one is to remove from your vocabulary the following claim: I'm not racist. The second task is to spend the rest of your life grappling with the question of what it means to be white. How has your race shaped every aspect of your life from the moment that you took your first breath? The third task is to take out a piece of paper and write down your answers to the following question: how have I managed to be a full, functioning, professional adult and not know what to do about racism. You can never understand what you need to understand about racism if you only listen to white people or engage with their work. Read everything you can by people of color, listen to people of color, watch their videos, turn your attention also to hearing what people of color and Black people have been telling us for centuries.
What do you say to that?
I think it's a short-minded ideology there. I mean, I could list several Black authors that I read. I mean, I listen to a lot of Les Brown. I mean, I think they would disagree with the statement there. But I think, Jesse, this is just a philosophy here of trying to pit people against one another with the dividing them by this whole race issue. It's only a matter of, you taking control of your own life. And I think that's what this whole movement is about passing the buck, putting responsibility on other people to make you feel better about what you're doing. And I think, a lot of the part that I talk about on my show is the fatherless crisis that we have in our country. We have so many kids that are growing up without a father figure in their life. And they don't have that discipline in their life. They don't have that family structure. And then they're very easily shaped and molded by society, and they get them to put them in any direction that they want. And they blame. It's a victim mentality. It's been going on. It's this every kid gets a trophy mentality, a victim mentality. The world owes you everything. And I think it's a poisonous mentality that we've been seeing the results of it throughout the country.
To hear this woman say this is pure evil. She looked evil. She is evil for promoting such a lie, such a setup. And I can't imagine why one white person would buy her book. I see why the blacks, not all, but most of the blacks would buy it because they are catering to her, building up their ego. But I don't know why one white person would buy a book like that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, Jesse. I don't know why anybody would buy a book like that. And I just think it comes down to, look, no matter what race or what color you are, we all have certain challenges in life. I'm a recovering alcoholic and an addict, and my white skin didn't help me through that process.
Right.
It didn't help me get off the booze. It didn't help me get off. I lost my parents at an early age. In my early 20s, I lost both of my parents, and my white skin didn't help me overcome the grief of that. We all face these challenges in life, Jesse, and this is just a game that's being played. Does racism exist? Absolutely. Of course it does, but it's not the dominant factor that's dominating our country. I think it all comes back to you and what you could do to make a change, and that's what's happened to me in my life. Listen, Jesse, I'm a guy that one time I got a lifetime ban from Giant Stadium at one point in my life. Fast forward, I was invited by the NFL. I was invited by the NFL to come to the Super Bowl, and I interviewed all the players, including Tom Brady. So it wasn't the economy that changed or anything else that changed. It was me who changed, and that's what is what's going to make the difference in everybody that's out there asking for something for nothing. Absolutely.
And you say that, did you just say that racism exists?
I think there's racist people that exist. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think.
And where's your proof of that?
Well, I would say like something like maybe a Dylan Roof that shot up people that's saying that he did it because they were black people or somebody like that. I would think that there's people that, or it's a thing that they're taught. I think it's a taught hatred that they have, that they hate people of certain color because they've been told to hate those people of color.
So if Dylan Roof killed because he hated, how would that make racism?
Well, because he killed people because of the color of their skin.
That's not why he did it. He did it because, according to all the reports that I've read, he did it because at one time he had a bunch of black friends. He was into the black thing too. Then he found out that blacks were killing whites more so than whites killing blacks. And he became angry. And in that anger, he went and did that. He did not hate people because of their color. And the reason I want to really emphasize on that, because men like you, white people, have to stop verifying a lie. Racism, there's no such thing as racism, but it's hatred. It's either good or evil, right or wrong. And Dylan Roof became angry, so he did it out of hate, not out of color.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's hatred here. This is a battle of good and evil that's going on here.
So
Jesse.
why
There's no doubt about that.
why promote this lie of racism? White people verify this for the blacks, and that's what they have done for the last 70 years or so. And that's why the blacks are out of control now, because white people are saying, yes, there's racism. So whites are admitting their racism when it doesn't really exist at all. And instead of right or wrong, somebody got to speak the truth instead of verifying this lie in the minds of most black people.
Well, also, Jesse, like I said, this is an obvious. This has been being done intentionally. I mean, this is being done to divide the people. There's no doubt about that. This is to get white against black, Christian against Muslim, gay against straight, Republican against Democrat. This is all being done on purpose.
So why push the idea of racism then? Why push that idea? When black people kill white people because of their color, is that racism?
I would think if you kill somebody solely because of that they're white. I mean, I don't know. You know, obviously, if you kill anybody, obviously there's hatred in your heart and there's evil that's consumed you. So how you want to paint it? I mean, you could kill somebody because they're gay. I mean, we see that across the world. People are being killed just thrown off rooftops because they're gay. I mean, if you're killing somebody for a specific reason, I mean, you could call it racism, call it hate, call it evil. I think it's all part of the same ideology.
So when black people kill white people, it's racism?
I would think so. If you, unless the guy banged your sister or something like that, and you kill him because you're upset with that. But if you kill the guy because he's just because he's a white guy, a random act of violence, and you're just going to go out and look for a white guy to kill, I guess that would classify like as a racist killing. I mean, I don't know.
So when black people kill white people because of their color, that racism?
Yeah, 100%. I would think so. I would think it works both ways. I think if you're out to do that. Listen, I'm not a defender of racism here, Jesse. I don't think that's.
I know, but when you said it, when you said it about Dylan Roof, it just rolled off your tongue. But when I ask you about black people killing whites, it's a hesitation to let it roll off your tongue.
Right, I couldn't give you the example of right now of somebody that's black. Like I said, Dylan Roof was one that popped up to my head. That's one that's been that they push in the media. So that's the one that I picked. Okay. It's just the same way around. Just Jesse. I mean, we talk about the police that are killing unarmed black people. They've killed many unarmed white people, but we can't name any of them because they're not told to us. So it's like we don't walk around with T-shirts of their names, say their names or any of this because we don't know who they are. That's not reported. We're not shown the videotapes of it. We don't see it. And there's been unarmed white people killed by police. We just don't know who they are. So it's like the narrative is pushed in one direction. And that's all we know.
Well, one thing I can assure you, nobody killed no one because of their color. They killed them because they hate them. They're angry about something. And so that's why they do it. But the children of the lie, instead of pushing the truth about it, it would due to hatred so that people can return to love. They would say it's because of the color, because they want to divide and conquer. I agree with that. I got to ask you, Alec, what is a man?
To me, somebody who takes responsibility for their own actions. I think that's the key ingredient there. So somebody that's not looking to pass the buck and blame other people. I think and that's what we're seeing a lot of in our country right now. You have a lot of, I would call toxic man. We hear the word toxic masculinity, which I don't know really what they're talking about when they mention that. But to me, a toxic man would be somebody that has children, walks away from that child's life and is never involved in their life and goes and has another child and continues to repeat the same thing. I consider that to be a toxic man. I think being a man is being responsible for your own actions, leading by example, and helping people become better in their life through your example and through your words.
I want to ask you about first-class fatherhood, but I first want to know, do most men leave their children, or do they leave the woman, the mother of the children, because they can't handle her?
Yeah, and you made a great point when you were on my podcast, Jesse.
And thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, and I do get this from I have a lot of single dads that listen to the show, and the number one excuse that they do give for not being involved in their child's life is you don't understand what the mother put me through.
Yeah,
and that's always the number one thing that I hear is like, you don't understand what I had to go through. A lot of these guys have gone broke trying to get lawyers to fight for 50% custody, and even when they get the custody, there's always an issue. So it consumes their life, and they're always in this state of anger against the mother, and the child now becomes just a tool in this broken marriage. And I think this is a big part of it too. Like, see, my podcast focuses on the fatherhood aspect, Jesse. It's not a marriage podcast. I don't focus on that, but I know that that is the root of so many of these problems, is the relationships between the men and the women, between the fathers and the mothers, because once that breaks down, all of a sudden now it becomes about me versus you and not us together united, where everybody benefits and everyone's moving forward. It becomes my life now takes center stage. My ego takes over. I got to get mine. I can't allow her to get this. And it becomes that battle between the parents, and the child suffers 100% of the time in those instances.
And instead of the mother being honest, whether they're married or unmarried or just living together, whatever, instead of the mother of the children being honest about that, she tells them, well, your father didn't love you. Your father left you. She never say, well, you know what, kids? Your father loved you. He did not leave you. He left me because he didn't know how to handle me. He couldn't deal with me. So that the kids can love both parents, and that way this cycle can start to end. But most of the mothers turn the children away from their fathers by acting as though the father left the kids, and it's just not true.
Yeah, that's happened in my wife is a victim of that, Jesse. My wife, her parents are not involved in her life. So my parents are not here. Her parents are here, but they're not involved in her life or our kids' lives. So our kids have no grandparents because of that, and that's all because of a very bad divorce. And it was the mother that hated the father. Yeah. The father would even say to my wife, man, you remind me so much when I look at you of your mother, and it really burns them up. Like, so it's like it created a catastrophe there. And it happens to so many kids. It's because they become now just a tool in this thing of hatred between the mother and the father. And it's really having a devastating effect on our society.
And so your podcast, you're the host of the podcast, First Class Fatherhood. Explain First Class Fatherhood, and what do you hope to gain from doing this?
Well, the whole vision of the show, Jesse, is to try to change the narrative on fatherhood and family life. So many young men have this idea that having children, starting a family, is like the worst thing you could do. They have this. I drive Uber as a part-time gig, and I hear it from a lot of the young men. When I tell them I have 4 kids, they usually look at me like I got 4 heads. They're like, 4 kids? What are you, crazy? And it's like something that they would never consider doing. In their mind, that's something they're going to put off till much later, if at all. So what I'm trying to do with the show is to try to show these guys, not through me, you don't have to listen to me, but listen to these guys that come on that have really just crushed it in life and have accomplished some really great things. Super Bowl MVPs, Navy SEAL Team 6 operators, entrepreneurs that are worth $500 million. Listen to these guys talk, and they say, you know what, despite all these accomplishments that I've had, it's really only through the experience of becoming a father that's given me the greatest sense of fulfillment in my life. And so I think that's a better testimony to what it's all about. And that's really what I'm trying to get across, is like, listen to all these guys. I've had, over a dozen Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Famers on the show, over 50 Navy SEALs, 4 Medal of Honor recipients. I mean, I've had, guys that have really just crushed it, Jesse, in life. And they talk, they rave about their position as a father. And I think that's a first-class position because it's actually the first time that we get that sense of putting somebody else's needs ahead of our own, where we actually, even more so through marriage, we get that feeling. I did anyway, where I got that feeling of overwhelming love, that I would actually do anything for my child. And I think that's that's a position that we need to take seriously. It's a serious role. And I think that it needs to be showcased in the way that it is, the position that it is. It's something to aspire to. It's something to be proud of. And it's a lifestyle that you should want to attain to, not these lifestyles that we see portrayed on TV, where the single guy is always sleeping around, he's got no responsibility, and they look like, man, that looks like a better life to me than the guy that's always got his head down, he's never getting laid, his wife's always making him do chores around the house, and they get this image like the ball and chain. Oh, we're going to have a bachelor party because once you get married, your life is over. Once you have a baby, oh, let me tell you, it gets worse. And we hear all that BS. And it poisons these people's minds. So they go into it with this mentality of, oh, boy, my life's going to suck now. And how bad is it going to get? Instead of the truth, where, wow, my life's just starting here. And, man, is it going to get better with each and every stage.
Joel, you know what it means to get laid?
I've heard the term.
He said never get laid. Let me ask. I noticed that a lot of millennials and Zoomers are not getting married. They're not interested. Is it because they did not see their fathers dealing with the mother in the right way. And so a lot of these millennial girls and Z girls are out of control. They don't respect that order of life. So that's why a lot of the millennials and Zoomers are refusing to do it, because they don't know how to deal with these women.
I wouldn't know if that's the exact reason. I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that play into it. I think that the lifestyle of ego, and we're living in an age here where everything is about yourself. Everything is on social media. Everyone has their own pages that are like dedicated to themselves. Like, it's their image that's more important than anything else.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a poisonous part of this whole thing. And yeah, I think a big part of it comes from learned behavior. We mimic what we see, especially when you're growing up. So if you're growing up without a family that's intact, most likely you're going to try to mimic what you see and not get married. So I think that plays into it for sure.
Are you a Christian, Alec?
I'm a Catholic, yes, Jesse. I'm definitely a faith-based person. And I'm a family that we pray together every day as a family before we eat dinner. We eat dinner together as a family every night. And, I keep God first in my life and everything I do. And that's been a big part of my turnaround, Jesse, for myself. Like I said, I was lost for quite a while there. And reading really is what put me on a path to change. I mean, not just reading the Bible, which is something that I try to do every day. But reading in general really opened up my mind, and just reading guys like James Allen and Napoleon Hill and different types of philosophy that really opened up my mind that there's different possibilities out there other than the life I was leading. Are
you the head of your wife?
I'm the head of the household. Yeah, I feel like I take on that position. I feel like that's the role that I play is as the father of the man of the house. For sure.
Are you the head of your wife?
I'm the husband of my wife. I mean, I don't know about the head of her, but I'm her husband for sure.
And so, are you the head of your wife?
I would guess so. Yeah.
You're not sure?
I don't really know. Define what you mean by head of my wife.
God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. So the love comes from God through Christ, through the husband, through the mother, through the children.
Yeah, I would say that's the order that we roll with over here.
And how do you deal with her when she wake up in the morning angry about nothing?
Oh, listen, sometimes I wake up angry about nothing, So I try to listen to what she's saying more, and I try to be more understanding. I try to listen. Listen, I understand. I've been married 15 years now. We've had our trouble during our marriage. And a lot of it comes from lack of communication. So I try to communicate better. I try to listen first and speak slower, or listen quicker and speak slower. I try to be more understanding where she's coming from, see things through her eye, and work together to try to come up with a better solution to whatever the issue may be.
Do you correct her when she's wrong?
I don't think I correct her more as we'll have more of a conversation about why you think it's this way, why I think it's that way, and then we come up with a better solution to all things. I mean, we just from whether it be buying a house or moving to a new location or stuff like that. When it comes to those big ticket items, I think it's important that we both lay on the table here what our vision is for the future, and as long as we can line that up together, I think it's the best interest of us and for our kids.
But it's your job given to you by God to correct her when she's wrong. Why not correct her so she can come out of that fallen state?
Well, I don't see her in a fallen state. I just think that I don't think it's my job to correct her. I think it's my job to lead by example of how I see things. And listen to her. I don't think I know everything. I don't think I'm in a position where I'm the smartest guy in the room. And if I'm usually the smartest guy in the room, I try to find another room, because I'm always trying to grow, learn, educate myself and make myself better. So I think my wife makes me a better person, and I hope I do the same for her.
How does she make you a better person?
Because she challenges me to think and see things in a different way. I mean, sometimes I can get stubborn in my own way. And not look at another angle. And then if I get caught in that, that's not helping anybody else. So I've been able to become a better listener, and that's improved my life in a lot of different ways.
So when you say you're not the smartest person in the room, when you and your wife are in the room, only you and your wife in a room, are you the most logical person in the room?
Well, listen, I'll argue that point for sure. Yeah, I will. I'll go with that. But she may have a different suggestion. It depends on the topic. I mean, sometimes I'm out of my realm in a lot of topics. Sometimes, you throw Jeopardy on and ask that question, you may get a different answer.
What is love?
I think love is the ability to put somebody ahead of your own interest in a sense, like loving somebody in a sense where you would allow that person. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. You know what, Jesse, to be honest with you, I don't know how I would really define it. I don't know how I would define the word love. I would just say, for me, in my instance, it's somebody that, in the sense of my wife, it's somebody that has changed me completely, opened my mind, opened my heart, and changed me as a person, and awakened a lot of feelings in me that I never knew that existed before. And my wife, I feel better when I'm around her. When it comes to my children, I think love is people in my life that I would do anything for, that I would sacrifice my life for, and I would lay my life down for my children. And I think it's a different type of love that I have for my children than I do for my wife. So I don't think love, in a sense, has just one meaning or definition. I think it's different depending on who you're talking about.
Is a part of love correcting your wife when she's wrong?
I don't say. I would say, I don't know about correcting. I think, yeah, if she's doing something that I think that could be harmful, then yes. I don't know if that's necessarily a part of it. I don't see myself as an authority figure in a sense where I think she needs to take responsibility for her own life. Only she can do that. I mean, I think change comes from within. It comes from within all of us. I don't think anybody else is responsible for your own happiness. I think everybody is responsible for their own happiness. So
is a part of love correcting your wife when she's wrong? Yes or no?
I could go with that. I mean, honestly, Jesse, I don't think that's a part of how I see love.
Alec, Lace, how can people get your podcast?
You can hear it wherever podcasts can be heard. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm on YouTube now. Where you can go to firstclassfatherhood.com. Like I said, we focus on the fatherhood aspect of the relationship, Jesse. That's where our focus is, and correcting our kids when they make the mistakes.
Amazing, Alec, thank you, man. An amazing conversation, and happy White History Month. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.